When we wanted to go through the Lancaster Sound, which is the major Northwest Passage route, oil had been discovered in Alaska, and Exxon, formerly a different name, but Exxon wanted to bring the oil out from Alaska. They had two choices. They could build a pipeline to Valdez and then ship it by ship down to California and elsewhere, or they could take it out through the Beaufort Sea, which they viewed as international water, and through the Northwest Passage, which they viewed as international passage, down the East Coast to the northeastern United States for refining. They had these two options. Well, to solve the option, they sent in a mammoth tanker. They ice strengthened it. They made it an icebreaker the size of an oil tanker. It was called the Manhattan. And they didn't ask permission that I know of. I'm not sure of this. They might have asked permission to go through, but it's very unlikely. Canada learned that they were going to do this and insisted on they couldn't refuse them. I mean, they didn't have the, well, they didn't refuse them. But what they did was insist that they be escorted by a Canadian icebreaker. And that's what happened. And a man who had advised me on all the Arctic navigation techniques, Captain Tom Pullen, was the captain of that ship. And through our relationship in planning for the work we were doing, he made arrangements that we could put our equipment aboard the Canadian icebreaker. Mm-hmm. So the first data that we gathered in the high Arctic for Polar Quest was taken aboard the Canadian icebreaker, leading in front of the big ship behind us, the Manhattan. Well, what happened to finish that story is that the Manhattan made the trip without any difficulty. I think it got hung up a few times, and the Canadian ship, MacDonald, named after our first Prime Minister, of course, freed them. He pushed the ice out of the way a bit. I'm not sure of the details of that, but nothing was going to stop the Manhattan. And they took the oil out, and at that time I was involved as a consultant to the Government of Canada with regard pollution prevention. And I got involved in the development of legislature prohibiting any ship going into the Arctic unless it was double-hulled. In other words, if you break the hull, you got another one to save the oil. No vessel can go through that area now unless it meets the Arctic Pollution Prevention Act. Mm-hmm. And so I played a role in the concept of the law. I'm not a lawyer, so but I could advise people about what was needed.